Solve this and I'll marry you, the billionaire CEO smirked, until the black waitress solved it. The entire restaurant went quiet when he said it. Not the comfortable kind of quiet. The kind that cuts through music, silverware, and polite conversation like a blade. Tell you what, the billionaire CEO said, leaning back in his leather chair with a smirk that had probably closed 100 high-stakes deals. Solve this, and I'll marry you. A few nearby guests chuckled awkwardly. The woman he was speaking to didn't laugh. She stood still, notepad in hand, her expression calm but unreadable. Her name was Zaria Thompson. And she was just trying to do her job. The private dining room at the Hamilton Crown in downtown Chicago was known for hosting power players, senators, tech founders, venture capitalists. That night, it hosted Adrian Whitmore, founder and CEO of Whitmore Analytics, a billion-dollar data intelligence firm headquartered in New York. 42 years old, self-made, British-American, regularly featured in business magazines from London to Toronto. Known for his razor-sharp mind and sharper tongue, Zaria had recognized him the moment he walked in. Not because she followed billionaire news, but because her younger brother did. He's the math genius guy, her brother Malik once said, watching an interview on YouTube. Built his first algorithm at 16. Zaria remembered smiling at that. Now here he was, sitting at table 7, tailored suit, cufflinks catching the chandelier light. He had arrived with 2 executives and a reputation. Zaria approached with her usual warmth. Good evening, gentlemen. My name's Zaria. I'll be taking care of you tonight. Adrian barely looked up at first. Sparkling water. No ice. Yes, sir. She moved efficiently, professionally. She didn't hover, didn't fumble, didn't overcompensate. But when she returned with their drinks, she noticed something scribbled across a linen napkin in front of him. Equations. Not simple ones. Matrices. Variables. Symbols layered in complexity. He caught her looking. You understand this? He asked casually. She hesitated for half a second. A bit, she replied. One of the executives laughed. Everyone understands. A bit. Adrian's lips curved. Go on then, he said, sliding the napkin toward her. Solve it. Zaria glanced down. It wasn't random. It was an optimization problem, minimizing cost under constrained variables. The kind of problem she had once solved at 2 a.m. under fluorescent lights in a university library. The kind of problem she had once loved. She placed the napkin back gently. I'm working right now, sir. Afraid you'll get it wrong. His tone wasn't cruel, but it wasn't kind either. More like entertainment. The room felt warmer. She met his eyes steadily. No, she said quietly. I just don't think math is a performance. That earned a sharper look. He leaned forward, intrigued. Tell you what, he said, that smirk forming. Solve it, and I'll marry you. The executives burst into laughter. A nearby table turned their heads. Zaria didn't. She simply asked, pen. For the first time that evening, Adrian Whitmore looked genuinely surprised. He handed it to her. She didn't rush, didn't dramatize it. She scanned the equations again, blocking out the noise around her. Years fell away. The scholarship she'd earned to study applied mathematics at Northwestern. The late nights tutoring classmates. The acceptance letter to a graduate program she never attended. Because life had happened. Her mother's stroke, medical bills, Malik's high school tuition. So she took the evening shift. Then the morning shift too. Dreams didn't disappear. They just waited. Zaria began. Writing. Clean steps. Precise reasoning. She restructured one assumption. Simplified a constraint. Recalculated the objective function. 5 minutes passed. The laughter faded. 10 minutes. Adrian stopped smiling. 15 minutes later, she placed the pen down. There's no feasible solution under your current constraint, she said calmly. Unless you redefine variable C as a dependent value instead of fixed. Then your minimum cost becomes 2.3 million, not 3.1. Silence. One of the executives leaned over the napkin. Adrian stared at it. Then he stared at her. You're wrong, he said automatically. Zaria didn't flinch. Check line 4, she replied. He did. His jaw tightened. He recalculated in his head. Then on his phone. Then again on the napkin. The executives shifted uncomfortably. After a long moment, Adrian exhaled. She's right. The words sounded foreign in his mouth. Zarya gave a small nod. Will that be all for now? The room didn't know how to react. She returned to the kitchen. Her heart pounded only once she was out of sight. Not from fear, but from something she hadn't felt in a long time. Being seen for what she could do. When she brought the main course, Adrian was quieter. He watched her differently. Where did you study? He asked. Northwestern. Applied mathematics. And you're here? Yes. He waited for elaboration. She didn't offer one. He pushed gently. Why not academia? Research. Life had other plans. Something in her tone ended the topic. Dinner continued, but the dynamic had shifted. The smirk was gone. In its place was curiosity. After the meal, the executives left first, citing early flights. Adrian remained seated. Zarya delivered the bill. He glanced at it but didn't reach for his wallet. Walk with me, he said instead. I'm on shift. He looked toward the manager across the room. A quiet nod was exchanged. 5 minutes. Outside, Chicago's evening air was crisp. City lights reflected off glass towers. Taxis hummed past. He stood beside her near the entrance. I apologize, he said abruptly. For the comment. It was arrogant. She studied him. Yes, it was. A flicker of something, humility, crossed his face. You could be running teams at my company, he said. Instead, you're serving tables. I'm serving my family, she replied. That stopped him. She explained then. Not as complaint, not as tragedy, but as fact. Her mother's stroke had left partial paralysis. Insurance had covered some things. Not all. Malik had been 14, smart, gifted, needed stability. So Zarya deferred her master's program. Picked up shifts, tutored at night, kept things afloat. Adrian listened without interrupting. No jokes, no smirks. When she finished, he said quietly, I built my first company after my father's bankruptcy. I know what it's like to pivot. She gave a small smile. I didn't pivot, I paused. That stayed with him. The next week, something unexpected happened. Whitmore Analytics announced a new fellowship program, fully funded graduate scholarships for students who had deferred education due to family hardship. Anonymous donor. Zarya saw the announcement on her phone during break. She didn't connect it immediately. Until Adrian walked into the restaurant again. Alone. No equations tonight, he said lightly. She raised an eyebrow. Disappointed. He chuckled. I wanted to ask you something. She crossed her arms politely. Not marriage, he added quickly. Good. He hesitated. Would you consider applying for the fellowship? I can't relocate. It's flexible. Remote research. We structured it that way. A pause. I may have had some influence. She looked at him, carefully. Why? Because talent shouldn't stall due to circumstance. And because I embarrassed you. He didn't deflect. Because you reminded me what intelligence looks like without ego. The words hung between them. Zarya thought of Malik filling out college applications at the kitchen table. Of her mother practicing physical therapy exercises with stubborn determination. She thought of that napkin. Is this charity? She asked. No, Adrian said firmly. It's investment. She almost laughed at the echo of familiarity. Weeks later, she stood on a small stage at a community center in Chicago. The fellowship recipients were announced. Her name was called. Applause filled the room. Malik whooped loudly from the back row. Her mother cried openly. Adrian stood off to the side, clapping with the others. Not center stage, not claiming credit. Afterward, Zarya approached him. I didn't solve that equation for a proposal, she said softly. I know. I solved it because I love math. I know that too. They stood there, not as Billionaire and Waitress, but as two people who had misjudged each other and learned better. You still owe me something, he said lightly. Her eyes narrowed playfully. What? A rematch? She smiled. Next time, she said. No audience. The city lights flickered on as evening settled again. Zarya walked toward her family. Adrian watched her go, not with possession, not with conquest, but with respect. And somewhere between arrogance and humility, between performance and purpose, something rare had shifted. Not because of a joke, not because of a challenge, but because when tested, she didn't shrink. And when corrected, he didn't resist. The smirk that began the night had dissolved into something steadier. And the equation that mattered most had nothing to do with numbers at all.